We finally found some more. Trust me, bro. Starfield's the best game ever. It gets really good. 50 hours in after 7 new game pluses. Best game ever. Copes. It's gonna be great.
All right, so here we go. Yes, the Starfield data mining has intensified, revealing what appears to be cut content that could make it into the game as DLC. Now, fans have
DLC.
highly requested fully customizable space stations, and it looks like it may actually happen in the future. Plus, a former Starfield dev reveals what it was really like.
Space stations? That sounds amazing. Imagine you no longer need to go to your ship, go through a loading screen to get onto your ship, then go through an 8-second unskippable animation to get in the pilot seat, then get another load screen slash animation as you take off so you can load screen to a different planet. Then you need to open up open up the map and land on the planet, which is another load screen, by the way. So you can wait through another 8-second animation to get out of the chat, then leave the spaceship through another load screen just to get into your space station that probably has nothing interested in it, nothing to do, just so you can waste 5 seconds of your life running to the nearest door to get another loading screen and to get out in the city. So you can run for 40 more seconds until you need to enter a building and there's another load screen? Man, that sounds actually amazing. Honestly, for the people who are left playing Starfield, that probably sounds really fun and engaging gameplay. I'm not even being ironic here. They probably like the idea of another useless load screen in their game.
Working for Bethesda and Todd Howard, and did they bite off more than they can chew on this one? Plus, 2 months later, Starfield's performance is actually quite surprising. We'll get into the complete breakdown, but Starfield is definitely not going anywhere, as there is still a very large community here playing the game.
He's missing every shot.
But yeah, let's go ahead and start right here, shall we? Now remember, smack that subscribe button if you're new. Turn on the bell notification icon so you never miss another upload. But yes, check it out. This got 5,600 upvotes. It says, Star Station Outpost discovered in the game files and unlocked with a mod. So this was data mined and eventually turned into a mod. I'll throw that mod in the description below. It is very much work in progress. But here...
Just imagine how bad a piece of content needs to be that the developers of Starfield were unironically saying, yeah, we probably need to cut this because this is really bad. Imagine how bad this piece of content needs to be that the Starfield devs cut it. And now someone's like, let's bring it back to the game.
Here we can see how you can actually access a fully functioning Star Station Outpost, as they are calling it. They're not calling it exactly a space station, but in my opinion, kind of like the same difference. But yeah, you could essentially build and craft what appears to be your own space station in Starfield, and this was...
Yeah, you can build it, craft it, and then forget in which star system you made it and lose it forever because the navigation is just impossible. Yeah, that sounds fun also.
Of course, data mine, meaning that this did not make it into, of course, the full game. It looks like it was intended to make it into Starfield as a fully functional feature, and I think that Bethesda might be working their way towards that in the future, perhaps as some sort of DLC. Let me know if this is on your list of things you want to see post-launch in the game. Sound off. I just want more faction quests, more like faction-type wars, more friction between the factions. That's something that I personally would love.
I would honestly also love it, but even good games struggle to implement things like that in an interesting and fun way. Starfield would never be able to implement that. Best case scenario, maybe some time to time pirates spawn onto the city security and that's it. It would be horrible.
You see. All right, so yeah, we got to talk about what the former Starfield dev has been saying lately. Check it out right here. It goes on to say this. Former Starfield dev says all decisions on Bethesda's RPGs run through Todd Howard. He would hate me for saying that. This is a very sensational headline. I'm going to get into some of the communities.
technically that makes sense, but I didn't think that would be real because my prediction was that Todd Howard actually makes no creative decisions at all. He's just the CEO of Bethesda, and he puts his name on everything, and that's kind of it. I didn't actually think he even works on games any longer.
These thoughts about this article, just wait and see. It's kind of entertaining. But yeah, let's get into what was said here. This one comes from Games Radar. It says the following: a former Bethesda veteran says that all decisions at the studio run through director Todd Howard. Isn't that surprising? It's almost like Todd Howard is the creative director and that all decisions should be run through him. Now it says, in an interview with YouTube channel MidMax, Bruce Nesmith reminisced on his long career at the studio where he began work on Daggerfall, graduated to become the lead designer on Skyrim, and then eventually contributed to Starfield before leaving to become a novelist. Now, the success of...
Novelist? Dude, Skyrim is not a bad game. Well, now looking back at Skyrim after playing Starfield, I think it's one of the greatest masterpieces Bethesda has ever done. And Fallout New Vegas just seems like a godsend gift, honestly. But man, I don't know what happens in the Skyrim story. There's an evil dragon. There's a bunch of dudes on a mountain, and you can speak Dragonish. That's it. I'm pretty sure most people have no clue what's honestly happening in the Skyrim lore. Maybe you get bits and pieces that there's like the Grey Cloaks and the Imperials, or I don't remember the faction names, and they have a war with each other, and that like matters somehow, even though you never see it even happen. Dude, the Skyrim writing is atrocious. The game itself is okay. It's kind of fun. But the writing is atrocious. Starfield is even worse. So you're telling me some dude who most likely contributed to the worst writing in human history in any game or any piece of media ever is now gonna become a novelist? That's insane! Is he taking crazy pills?
Several Bethesda-produced games meant the team enlarged to a slightly uncomfortable size, according to Nesmith, which partially contributed to his leaving. There were a lot of changes going on, he goes on to say, and the structure of the company also was such that half because of the pandemic and half just because of the necessary changes, you didn't get to interact with Todd as much anymore. That's interesting. That he does bring up the pandemic. We never consider that Starfield was, of course, developed during a very tumultuous time. So yeah, that's also something noteworthy right there. Now, Nesmith was understanding of the change, though. When you're running 6 different studios and you've got a dozen projects going on at the same time, he's only one man. But despite the lines of communications becoming...
Do you think Todd Howard just told each studio that he's currently doing work with a different studio whenever they wanted to tell him something? I think that's a possibility.
A lot more rigid, Howard supposedly had the final say on most creative decisions. Again, that makes complete sense. It always worries me when I do hear gaming studios get bigger and bigger and they kind of lose their personality. So that is kind of what I'm worried about when we talk about Elder Scrolls 6.
Implying Todd Howard had one to begin with that wasn't made of sweet little lies.
Hopefully they could really tap into not losing the Bethesda magic, so to speak. Now, furthermore, we have this. All decisions run through Todd, Nesmith says. He would hate me for saying that because he doesn't believe it's true, but unfortunately, it is true. Now, Nesmith recalled that when developers wanted anything different than the Bethesda usual, they would have to get the idea in front of him.
Oof.
The Starfield lead was quick to point out that Howard wasn't keen on that organizational structure either. I will give him credit. He has tried really, really hard to not be the last say guy. It's not something he wants intellectually. Now, the studio supposedly molded into that shape because Howard is somebody that has opinion.
God, I hate. Dude, none of this makes sense. If someone talks like this, and well, I guess anywhere but game development, You just look at him funny and think he's stupid.
Opinions and whose opinions are highly valuable. Of course, it makes sense. Yeah, I just got to say that'd be tough being a creative director and having many different ideas thrown your way and which ones to actually tack on to the project. Of course, you don't want to overwhelm the studio, but you also don't want to lose the Bethesda DNA. And I think from what we're seeing here that Todd Howard is very much interested in keeping the Bethesda DNA intact. Now, of course, you do have to tread carefully there because then you lose the sense of progression as a company trying to push the genre even further. And I think where they really need to advance is, of course, with pushing the creation engine, especially when we're talking about Elder Scrolls 6. And from all...
They should throw the creation engine completely out at this point and just start anew. Elder Scrolls 6 is not going to be as bad as Starfield because, you know, it's not going to have 50 trillion loading screens constantly, but man, the creative engine is just bad. It looks 20 years old at this point, even though they upgraded it. Starfield would have been impressive 15 years ago, but not now.
All indication, it looks like they took a ton of time out while developing.
Also, Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be literally Skyrim 2.0 probably. There's going to not be a single change. There's not going to be any meaningful difference between the games.
Starfield to do some heavy research and development for Elder Scrolls 6. So I am extremely curious to see how the creation engine actually evolves once we finally actually get to see gameplay for Elder Scrolls 6. Really curious about those NPCs, by the way. Now, the article goes on to wrap up by saying this. According to Nesmith, the longtime Bethesda director was able to put himself in the seat of your everyday player to a far better extent than the rest of the design team. That attribute meant he was naturally the last say guy because he was always able to see it from a Joe average player's perspective.
Yeah, I'm gonna call Absol bull on that. His perspective wasn't an average Joe. His perspective was, yeah, seems good enough. Let's just release.
Whatever the studio was doing, it seemed to have worked. If Starfield's recent success is any indication, well,
the average Joe doesn't like almost anything about Starfield. The story's bad. The exploration is non-existent. Planets are empty. Locations are constantly recycled. The gunplay is imbalanced and bad and sad. Like we can see in these gameplay videos, it takes him 200 bullets to kill a single enemy. He's running out of ammo on a basic enemy. This is crazy. There's nothing good about this.
In just a moment, by the way, because we have yet another update about Starfield's success, despite the immense hate that the game seems to get. It's kind of very strange. But yeah, it's interesting because it seems like when they approach it from the average Joe player's perspective, they also have to consider not making the game far too complicated and less fun. You guys may remember and have heard that, yeah, there was a lot of survival elements in this game. I still hope that we see a complete survival mode for this game.
And he means the survival elements that got toned down. For example, the burns, the pox, you know, the poisonings and all of those things. No, they weren't toned down because the average player would not be able to deal with them. They were toned down because they're stupid, boring, tedious, and no one likes them. That's it.
And that they do allow some of those complexities to creep in through that mode, because I think it would be very, very cool to have that opportunity to play the game in that way. But yeah, despite all the hate, all the issues that Starfield has faced, yeah, we have a report 2 months later after the game has released from Forbes. It says this right here. 2 months later, Starfield continued performance is kind of unbelievable. Let's get into this one, shall we? So it goes on to say the following right here. It says, no, with all the near perfect games out in 2023, I do not believe that Starfield has a shot at Game of the Year.
That's because it's shit. I still haven't seen proof of this, but I kind of believe it. Because even on PC, even on Steam, by the way, all the hardcore fans of Bethesda are playing Starfield on PC, okay? Everyone is playing it on PC because the hardcore fans, the Bethesda fanboys want modding. And that's going to be on PC, okay? So, even there on PC, where literally every single Todd Howard fanboy in existence is playing this game, even there, 30%, more than 30% of the player base did not reach level 5. Level 5 is 2 hours into the game, roughly. You're gonna get level 5 2 hours into the game, roughly. You know, they have not even played the game for 5 hours. They didn't care. And on Xbox, now again, this is not confirmed, so maybe this is a lie, but it does sound believable that more than 80% of players just quit the game before 2 hours. It does sound believable because it's free on Game Pass. People just install it, try it, play it, and think it's shit. This is the same reason why currently the Steam reviews of Starfield are going down, 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 down. Because everyone who's like, you know, a gamer at played Starfield, because it's done by Bethesda, one of the biggest gaming companies of all time, right? Everyone knows who Bethesda is. And everyone played it already. Now it's the normal people. The people who haven't watched YouTube videos don't even know that Starfield is a disaster or that there are even Bethesda fanboys even exist. They just found a random game on Steam that they wanted to play and download. And they do. And these normal people are playing this game for a couple of hours and saying, yeah, it's trash. And they're just, you know, putting a negative review on the game. That is why the Steam reviews are slowly just going down, down, and down. Because the average person thinks this game is trash.
Here. Yeah, you know, I agree with that one first and foremost. It's not my game of the year. However, I'm still very, very much playing the hell out of Starfield and getting a lot of enjoyment out of it, despite its faults. And I'm really excited for the expansions and DLC. That's just me. Let me know if you're the same way or not. Now, it says this, and at this point, I'm doubting that it's going to make most award show publications' top 5 and 6 lists. However, like Hogwarts Legacy before, the performance of this game is really quite stunning and continues to be a full...
Hogwarts Legacy, no one complained about it. Everyone called it really, really good. Okay? There was no controversy on the scale of Starfield, and no one tried... the only controversy was the, you know, insane people who tried to boycott it, and that was it. After that, no controversies. No one said it's bad. Everyone liked it. And I think Hogwarts Legacy has, you know, it's gonna win, or I forgot what's the other thing that could win. I think it's gonna be Hogwarts Legacy because, again, Harry Potter fans, there's a lot of them. There's a reason Mommy JK, MILF, I would marry her and make her happy rolling, is a billionaire, okay? Because that thing's really popular. And they don't care. As long as it's a Harry Potter thing, they're gonna love it. So Hogwarts Legacy has still an amazingly high shot at actually getting the award. But most likely it's gonna be like Tears of the Kingdom or something like that. Who knows at the end, but it's definitely not Starfield. Jeez.
After launch, I was skeptical of Microsoft selling this as Bethesda's biggest launch ever, as with Starfield and Game Pass. That was not a huge shock, and of course, we're not going to know exact sales given that Game Pass inclusion. All right, we know that. Now it says, however, every time I circle back to see how Starfield is doing, I'm deeply impressed. This is a single-player game that doesn't have PvP, co-op, or even official mod support yet like Bethesda's other games. It's also a game with what I would consider to be a somewhat hard ending despite its new gameplay.
Official mod support doesn't matter for Bethesda games. Most people don't even use official mod support for Bethesda games. They just use the Nexus.
Loop, and yet here we are. So we're going to get into some of the actual numbers here. So check it out right here. It goes on to say this. 2 months later, Starfield remains the 6th most played game on Xbox, behind only massive multiplayer games like Fortnite, Call of Duty, Roblox, Rainbow Six Siege, NBA 2K24, and Apex Legends.
Jesus Christ, Rainbow Six Siege is beating this game? Wow. NBA 2K also, wow. And Apex Legends on Xbox? No! Not a single player who has any self-respect and plays Apex Legends is playing it on Xbox. God, this Xbox lineup of games is just sad. But you know that's why people say this. If you want to buy a gaming system, buy PlayStation. Xbox has no games. It's true. It's true.
Puts it ahead of GTA Online, Madden, Overwatch, Rocket League, and even Minecraft on Xbox.
GTA Online is a billion-year-old game. Madden is trash, and even the Madden fans are really, really pissed. The Madden fans are just absolutely done at this point getting reskins of the same game. Because it's literally the same game. There's nothing new. They just remove things in the new Madden experiences. I have watched those videos. I love them from Angry Joe. I'm not even American. But they're just great. Even the Madden fanboys are absolutely done with Madden. And Overwatch on Xbox, Jesus Christ. Wow. Overwatch is a dead game. I don't know how dead it needs to be on Xbox at this point.
Minecraft on Xbox. Yeah, that's actually really telling and very impressive. Now, it says on Steam, the numbers are similarly impressive. Starfield is still putting up 50,000 concurrent player peaks at nighttime, which have remained...
50,000? That seems a little bit much. Let's look at Steam DB. I think it's DB that's gonna show us the charts. Franchise. Falling online peak. Okay, let's see. Wait, what? I want to see the charts, thank you. So let's see. Yeah, this doesn't seem true at all. There, for some reason, there's a 50K... Dude, there's a 50K peak at Sunday. Every other day, it's less. It's roughly 30 to maybe 40. So they just took the absolute highest peak possible. And by the way, yeah, these numbers are actually not that bad. But again, they're still lying here because it's 50K peak at Sunday. They mean this Sunday the 28th. And after that, it's just 30 to maybe not even 40K peaks, okay? And the minimum is less than 20K. Wow. That's not impressive. That is not impressive at all. Well, it is technically still impressive that that's so much. But you need to remember, again, Bethesda fanboys are unironically going to play this game until the end of time. That is not an overstatement.
Remarkably steady. Yes, it's going down over time, but again, we are 2 months into the release of a single-player game here, and we just do not see...
And it took you a month and a half to release a Field of View slider. Yeah, nice. The Eat button is going to be DLC. It's probably going to be, by the way, the only thing in the $50 DLC that you're going to have to buy. It's just the Eat button. And then they're going to sell you Fallout 4 style inventory management systems for maybe $150 in a year and a half. It's going to be great.
See performance like this often. If ever, Baldur's Gate is going even harder, but PC is the main platform. Now, it's also important to keep in mind that Starfield is on PC Game Pass. So these numbers would be higher if it was a Steam only and not available for free if you want to deal with a worse storefront. And then finally, we have this one. There's the performance of Xbox as a whole. The gaming unit made $3.9 billion this past quarter, its largest quarter one ever. That was driven at least in part by Starfield's performance, of course, where it sparked the single highest day of Xbox Game Pass in the history of the service. Part of the quarter's 13% increase in content and service revenue, actually offsetting a 7% drop in hardware sales. Wild. So yeah, I'm thinking that Microsoft is absolutely loving Starfield right now, and Bethesda as a whole. And
I think Microsoft are unironically thinking, Jesus Christ, did we just seriously spend $8 billion on this piece of shit company? They made Redfall and they made Starfield. And now people are openly talking about their fears that Elder Scrolls 6 is going to be a disaster because of everything that has happened. They're regretting their purchase so hard, probably.
And yeah, again, I think they're super excited for the future for Bethesda and Microsoft as they team up here going forward. So, that being said, Elder Scrolls 6 will be on the horizon eventually, and we'll see what they can actually pull off there and take feedback from Starfield. I really, really hope that they listen to the feedback here about exploration mostly, because that seems to be one of the biggest concerns here with Starfield is the sense of exploration is just not there compared to titles like Skyrim. All right, so now it's time to get into your top comments. Remember, leave a comment down below. It could end up right here in a...
Top comments are pretty boring usually. Anyway, let's see. Nope, open world game still does not have an ending screen. Wow. Anyway, that's open world games. Pretty fun. They really try hard to keep the Starfield alive. I love it also. I absolutely love it. Starfield is... Man, I'm still loving every moment of just ripping Starfield. It's just so bad that it feels... It's like therapy. It's great. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. And have a nice day. Bye-bye.